Adrian Teh has a brand new movie in Malaysian cinemas, and this one is a sports biopic. Adrian, of course, is responsible for Malbat, the assistant, Pascal, Wira, Pasal Kau. This, I believe, is his first attempt at a sports movie, and it centers around Cheah Liek Hou, who won gold in badminton at the 2020 Paralympic Games that took place in 2021 in Tokyo. I didn't know what to expect going into this movie. The trailer looked somewhat interesting, but I was a little apprehensive because over the last year or so, we've experienced some truly terrible sports biopics, Gemenche Boys and Padu. Both of those movies seem to have absolutely no clue what makes a biopic. And so I thought I was done with Malaysian biopics. I am happy to report that Gold is a competently made, incredibly restrained production by Adrian Teh that tells a beautiful story. It is one of those rare occasions where it treats the subject with the respect it deserves, and I left the cinema having learned something new, feeling somewhat inspired, and a little impressed at all the badminton that was played on screen.
The biggest surprise for the both of us, or at least for me coming into this was not a terrible movie. We have over the years seen enough terrible Malaysian films that whenever another one of these show up, we always immediately just say it's going to be another terrible film. I'll put my hands up, that's on me. I doubted Adrian Teh and I think I was wrong because this movie was actually pretty damn good.
I think with Adrian, I'm always impressed that he's constantly trying new things.
Yeah.
We both absolutely hated Pascal Kau. We thought it was just garbage.
Yes.
However, we liked Pascal, we liked Wira. Malbat was so-so. The Assistant was an interesting effort. But I think Gold might be his best movie. I think it might be his most restrained film. Yes, it does fall into very typical sports movie tropes, but I can't hold that against him because, heck, even George Clooney making Boys on the Boat fell into very typical sports movie tropes.
I think a trope is a trope for a reason. It's one of those things where it's hard to avoid, and sometimes when you can't avoid it, you just have to lean into it and treat it with respect and reverence and accept that that is something you're going to do. And in this instance, the tropiness of the story is only sort of softened by the fact that a lot of this is based on a true story.
No, but also I think the tropiness of the story is undercut by some very clever decisions that Adrian makes in the storytelling. So, yes, this is a sports movie. Yes, it is about pursuing one's passions and overcoming adversity and then coming out triumphant in the end. We all know how it plays out. But there is a slight shift in focus in that in your usual sports movie, the center of attention is usually between the athlete and the coach, for example. There's a little bit of that here. But for the most part, this is very much a family story. It talks about Liek Hou's family, his relationship with his father and mother and siblings. And I think that makes it somewhat interesting and somewhat different as well. The other thing Adrian does, and he doesn't abuse this, but he does this very cute thing with regards to breaking the fourth wall, in which there are certain moments when Liek Hou, whether it's child Liek Hou or grown-up Liek Hou, looks at the camera and talks to you directly about what is going on screen. And I thought that was an interesting quirk, and it was a nice moment that kind of drove the story forward and broke up the monotony of what would be a tropey sports biopic.
All of that was used very well by Adrian, right? They were used as tools of a director to tell an interesting story or to try and subvert the potential tropes or the potential pitfalls in a story. I think Adrian did that very well in Gold. I think a lot of the story isn't surprising. And I'm not talking specifically about the guy. I think if you've seen enough sports movies, the flow of the story is not going to be surprising. There's the character trying to achieve his dream, he getting knocked back, finding a new dream, falling into the pitfalls of not being able to achieve said dream and then coming back and triumphing at the end. All of that may sound lame because you'd say you've seen it all before. However, that was the character's story. All the other sports movies, especially Malaysian sports movies that we've seen, have tried to dramatize a lot of the personal experiences. Yes, they may be based on true stories. Yes, it may be about a real team with real people in it. However, they dramatize it too much where it just sort of becomes unrealistic. Whereas Gold stuck to the beats of the real story enough that it becomes all believable.
And I think that's important, especially when you're telling a story like How's story, in that I don't believe it is a story that is known by many Malaysians. We pay very, very little attention to our Paralympians. It is a sad fact. And the irony is, every 4 years, we talk about Malaysia winning its first gold medal at the Olympics. But you know what? Our Paralympians have won multiple gold medals at the Olympics. They have come home with gold medals by the handful, and yet we pay so little attention to their achievements. Even Liek Hou, as a world champion Paralympian, he's been a world champion 11 times before he even went on to win that gold medal at the Paralympics. And the only reason is because they added badminton super late to the Paralympics. And we don't know anything about him. Heck, if you ask me, he is a better badminton player than Lee Chong-wei. He has achieved more. He's won the gold. He's been world champion 11 times. He's an incredible athlete, and yet we know nothing about him. And of course, this is also a sad reflection of the box office of Gold, because I think it didn't make as much money as it should have. One, it's a very good movie. It's very well produced. The acting is fantastic. The storytelling is good. But even that aside, I think it's a sad fact that Malaysians don't care enough about Paralympians to want to go out and watch this movie about this individual.
This as a movie compared to the Lee Chong-wei movie?
Oh, this is
way
so
better.
much better.
Yeah, even the badminton being played on screen is so much better than that one.
Let's talk about that actually, because that was some of the biggest issues we had with Gamanche Boys and Padu, in that those directors had absolutely no idea how to structure the sports in a film to actually make it exciting and build character and build up to a climax. And that's something Adrian does in Gold very, very well, because obviously Adrian's watched sports biopics. He knows how they work. He knows how you need to build tension all the way to the very end. And even if you know the ending, even if you know who is going to come out on top, you still need to feel that tension, and you need to be uncertain as to whether or not your hero is going to win. And I think he does it here.
My other big gripe with sports movies, and this is sports movies around the world, is that you can't make a movie about an athlete when your actor cannot hit, run, kick, or score. You can't tell me that this guy was a fantastic quarterback, or this guy is a fantastic football player, or this guy is a fantastic badminton player when the actor cannot play badminton or football or NFL. It's to me, that's fucking stupid. So like for the ladies in Padu, you cannot tell me that this movie is about a champion group of female basketball players when the actors on screen cannot play basketball.
And with Gamanche Boys, for example, you can't just edit around the game, throw the score up on the screen using title cards, and then actually not show me the cricket that's being played.
Yeah.
I think in this one, Jack Tan does a very, very good job. I don't know if he's actually playing the badminton, but it's incredibly convincing and very well edited and shot that I felt the tension.
For me, this is an indication of a good sports movie. When as I'm watching it, I'm asking myself, are they actually playing badminton? Remember when Forrest Gump did that sequence
with the ping pong?
Tom Hanks playing ping pong, and we all just assumed it was CG because it looked too good, and it was CG. Here, I'm not sure, because those were some really good sequences being shot, and those actors on screen looked like they knew how to hold a racket, throw a smash, do a lob. They looked like they knew how to do it. So I was constantly asking myself if any of this is real. And I think I like that. I like that as a film, it was able to fool me, whether or not they did or didn't play.
Also, if you are of a certain age, all of the names in this movie should be very familiar. All of the events in this movie, because Rashid Sidek is one of the coaches, and they talk about his rise to fame and his failure to win the gold at the Olympics multiple times. They talk about the Thomas Cup victories. I'm sure a lot of you, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, watched that on television. So there are all of these great historical moments that will fold you into this story. I think it's an easy in for Adrian because as an audience, you are already invested. If there's one thing that unites us, it is badminton. I think even more so than football in Malaysia. I think badminton covers a lot of age groups and demographics, especially the Thomas Cup back in the 1990s.
Yeah, I think my only comment to that would be like, I think badminton unites us as a country, whereas I think football is the most popular sport.
Agreed.
So not everybody goes to watch the Malaysian football team, but whenever the badminton's on, people will find the TV to watch it.
I'll tell you why. It's because we're actually good at it. It's because we are global.
Yeah.
When it comes to badminton, there is actually a chance we could win that gold medal. But our football team, I don't think can fight on a global level.
No, but I disagree because we've ignored squash for so long.
But until Nicole David.
But even when Nicole David, we didn't have traffic jams because people were rushing home to watch it on TV.
I think it was not easy to watch a squash game. But I think RTM would always show every badminton game that the Sidek brothers were playing or that Lee Chong Wei was playing.
I think it's a historic thing. I think based on the fact that the Sidek brothers would be so popular playing a sport against white people and beating them at it in the early 80s. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And which is why I feel this movie is important. Because I think it does introduce the audience to an individual that many people may not know has accomplished a lot and has done it for the country. And I think that's incredible. Liek Hou's actually going to Paris to try again for another gold medal. I think he might be in his mid-30s now, but he's going to try and get another gold. And I think that's incredibly impressive. And for me, that's the other byproduct of this film. Well-made movie, very enjoyable, very entertaining. I love the relationship between Liek Hou and his father in this film. I thought that was very well drawn. But beyond all of that, I think there is something here that Malaysians should appreciate. And I feel like this is a great medium to get that across. It's very easily accessible. In that sense, I think it's your responsibility to go and watch this movie and learn about this Malaysian individual, because we're always bitching and griping and moaning about our lack of achievement as a nation in various fields, right? Meanwhile, there is someone here who's actually achieved something incredible and done something great, and we have no idea about it.
Yeah, it's sad. I think it's sad also that in a lot of ways, I wish we had caught this sooner. What little way we can affect the box office, I would have loved to have tried, because I think this was a fantastic film that we should have done sooner, and I think more Malaysians should watch it. And fuck you if you're going to wait for this on Netflix.
There are still screenings of Gold in cinemas. Go watch it while you still can. I know Deadpool and Wolverine is all over the place, and you will watch that. We know you're going to watch that, but make some time to go and watch Gold as well.
We know you're not going to buy the corner seats in Deadpool Wolverine. We know you're not buying the front two seats. Everybody wants those middle 4 rows, right? If it's sold out, don't just go and have fucking dinner. Go watch Gold. Okay, let's be fair. We all know everybody's rushing for those top 2 rows, okay? So shut up. If it's not available, go watch Gold.
Go watch Gold. Let us know what you think once you've seen it. Reach out. You know how to do so. All of our social media feeds are Goggler MY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline, 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.